Hello, everyone. Welcome to TrendingPolitics.com. This year's a special broadcast we've got going on tonight. So normally I always do my broadcast every single day at 12 p.m. Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern. But today is a special one. We're going to be talking with TopherTownMusic here. I'm going to bring him in to say hello. But first of all, I want to welcome every single person for coming in. I see all of your guys' comments. We're going to get to all of you here pretty soon. But let me bring in social media star and TopherTownMusic. Come on in, brother. How you doing, man?
What's going on, Clayton? Everybody with Trending Politics, what's going on?
Yeah, we're doing really well, man. We got a lot of people joining in from YouTube. Also, we got some TikTok people in here commenting, so I thank them for that. And I'm gonna put your social media up here as well. So everybody, you guys want to follow TopherTownMusic? He's on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and Twitch, all under the same name, right? TopherTownMusic.
Yep, same name.
All right, awesome. Well, as many of you guys, as all of you guys know, a huge tectonic shift yesterday in the political world. Joe Biden selected Kamala Harris to be his vice presidential nominee. Topher, first thing I want to ask you, man, is just what was your initial reaction? Because there was a lot of confusion because the night before she had unfollowed him on Twitter, and a lot of people, including myself, thought she's being petty. She's just saying, man, screw you, I'm done. And then he chooses her. So what was your initial reaction, and were you shocked by it?
No, I think it's, if anyone is shocked by the decision, then obviously you don't understand the Democratic Party and their agenda, from the beginning. I mean, it's a reason why they waited so long to announce who was going to be. I don't think it had anything to do with because they had some strategic, big plan or announcement. It's just that they knew who it was going to be, and they was trying to hold out as long as they could. And They were trying to see how much traction, to me, that Joe Biden can pull from black voters just by himself before introducing the Trump card, and they saw that really nothing was, he really wasn't gaining ground, if anything, losing. So they went ahead and announced it. Plus, they had the deadline coming up and everything. But yeah, exactly. So that's what I think was going on.
Because next week is the Democrat convention, right? So they had to. I mean, normally, if in a normal election year, now we were, smacked by this once in 100-year pandemic. Normally, I mean, the conventions would have been a month ago. I mean, I remember in 2016 they were about July 10th or July 11th or so, or middle of July. So that's in a normal year. So now we're waiting until August. So my question is, because we knew for months it was, hey. We already know he's going to select a black woman as VP. So, my question is, were you surprised that it was Kamala Harris and not Susan Rice or someone else?
Well, I knew it was either going to be between her or Maxine Waters.
Maxine Waters.
Maxine Waters been thrown around a lot of time, for the last couple months. And first of all, I don't think either one is a great pick. And I hate to say it, but they solely got picked simply for the fact that they're black women. Because he could have chose a better candidate. He could have chose Tulsa Gabbard. I feel like she would have been at least on at least more moderate, or at least more appealing to the overall populace when it comes to voting. But they didn't want to do that. They wanted to once again appeal to that black vote and say, hey, we put a black woman, and all of a sudden she's black, right? But we put a black woman as the VP, the first minority woman on a major party ticket. So look what we're doing. We're very progressive over here at the Democratic Party. But that's not why they did it. They, like I said, they did it just for the votes. They didn't do it to empower her at all, because we all know, their relationship during the debates. So it wasn't the greatest thing.
Exactly. They have had because look, in the beginning of the Democrat primary, it was every man for himself, right? They were not afraid to throw some haymakers at Joe Biden before, man. They were not afraid to be like, man, you were like, you had some pretty crazy comments about desegregation in the 70s. You have supported mass incarceration, huge, crazy bills, and they hammered him on that. But suddenly now he's like the savior that they all need. And so we're going to get into all of that you just mentioned. So when you and I were talking off air a little bit, what I want to do first is talk about a little bit of hypocrisy, because the tweets that I'm about to show you right now, you can't make them up. Okay.
Right.
Our favorite, Sean King here, he has said this is what he said in November of 2018. I'm going to turn off this other caption here for a second. Sean King, and guys, it doesn't get much better than this. Sean King is a far left guy. He's all over Twitter. He says this: I'll be frank and tell you two Democrats that I am 99% sure I won't be supporting, primarily because of their dismal history on criminal justice reform over the course of their entire careers. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, they both helped build and advance mass incarceration. Now, the funny thing is that when he tweeted this was 2018, we still didn't even know who the final candidates were going to be. So He probably had 20 people that he had in his mind. But the two people that he mentioned are Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, and they just happen to be on the same ticket. Okay, so now the cherry on top is, I'm sure many of you have seen his tweet yesterday. That's it for me. I'm incredibly proud to see a brilliant black woman, HBCU grad, chosen as a vice presidential nominee. I've done political work my whole life. It's rarely things dreams are made of, he says. Kamala Harris, I can't even say this without laughing. Kamala Harris is the most progressive VP nominee in American history. So he says here, it's rarely things dreams are made of, but just less than 2 years ago, it was, I will never support these two. Topher, let loose. What do you think about this?
Well, first of all, let's say this. There's a reason why he said 99% not getting the support. Right? He didn't want to say 100%.
Oh man,
at least use that 1%, so we can't go back and say that he said he never would support them. Second, Sean King is just one of those people gets on my nerve a lot of times because all he does is take everything and race bait everything. Now, him along with Charlemagne The God have came out in full support of Kamala Harris after they have been, like you said, dismissing her and Biden for the longest. Yeah. And now they're trying to convince black voters to go ahead and still vote for the Democratic ticket. I'm just like, why? There's like, no, we're going to support her because she's black. Like, once again, we get back to the black card and race card. Like, aren't we tired of just playing this identity politics? What has it gotten us anywhere? We played it with Obama for 8 years. What did we do? What did we do? Yes. Now we back again playing identity politics, and we just disregarding their political career. Disregarding what she has done as a attorney general, as a district attorney, disregarding what Biden has done as the VP and as the a senator, and we just don't care. I was like, do we not understand that the black community is very intelligent and that we can think and think on a high level and actually argue for policies that we really need? Neither one of these candidates are pushing anything that we need as a black community. If anything, they're pushing more and more big government, which is the last thing we need as a community. So
absolutely.
One of those things, man. I just
exactly.
Any other person like that.
And your note about when you're talking about Charlemagne the God, right? For any of you who might not be familiar with his name, Charlemagne the God is the radio host who he was chatting with Joe Biden, and Joe Biden said, if you have any problem deciding who you're going to vote for, me or Trump, then you ain't black. Those are his words, not mine, right? So the radio host was Charlemagne the God. Charlemagne the God has come out a few weeks ago, and he's like, man, I'm so tired of Joe Biden. And he said these words, which is why, as much as we don't like the disrespect that they have to the black community to think that, hey, they're just going to vote for someone just because of their skin color, even Charlemagne the God, who is an influential man himself, who has millions of people listening to him, said, man, I can't stand Joe Biden. I just can't wait to see who he picks as a black woman VP because that'll get me excited. That statement should make sure that we know that this is not 100% in the bag for Trump. We've got to keep on it. We have to keep attacking their record, her record, because sadly, people are falling for it. Now, not everyone's going to fall for it, and we're going to get into that later with some predictions, some thoughts about the black vote in general, man. But sadly, it's working on even some of the most influential people who you might think are think for themselves, And so that's kind of what I wanted to bring up there about that.
Yeah, because people can't come out and be pro-Trump in any way. So if pretty much the default is if they're not supporting Kamala Harris and Biden, then they're automatically supporting Trump. So they have to come out and support, otherwise they're going to lose their base. And One of the people I thought did a really good job is the baby. He's a big time rapper. A lot of people know who he is. But he came out and said, "Hey, I'm voting for Kanye." So
there you go.
he did it, so you can't really say that he's voting for Trump, but at the same
Yes.
time, he's not getting his vote to the Democrat Party.
Yes.
So he did it in a way that I think other people should do. But unfortunately, Charlemagne The God, all of them know that they have a big platform. If they
Yes.
even talk about anything positive going to Trump, man, it's over with.
Yep, absolutely. So you and I were talking off air about what Tulsi Gabbard, when she went in on her, and I played this clip a little bit earlier for our audience, but we're going to give some more context to it because there's more depth than to just Tulsi Gabbard, giving her the blowtorch on stage. So we're going to play a clip of Tulsi Gabbard in the debates earlier this year, I believe it was, just tearing, well, I believe it was last year maybe, just like tearing into Kamala Harris over her record. And in my opinion, this is going to hurt if the Trump campaign can keep pushing this narrative of the kind of things that she was talking about. This can hurt her votes with Democrats and independents. So let's play the clip and then we'll analyze it.
I want to bring the conversation back to the broken criminal justice system that is disproportionately negatively impacting Black and brown people all across this country today. Now, Senator Harris says she's proud of her record as a prosecutor and that she'll be a prosecutor president, but I'm deeply concerned about this record. There are too many examples to cite, but she put over 1,500 people in jail for marijuana violations and then laughed about it when she was asked if she ever smoked marijuana. She blocked evidence. She blocked evidence that would have freed an innocent man from death row until the courts forced her to do so. She kept people in prison beyond their sentences to use them as cheap labor for the state of California. And she fought to keep cash bail system in place that impacts poor people in the worst kind of way.
Thank you, Congressman.
All right. So Topher, so let's take a trip down memory lane to that moment. What stands out from you about that line of attack from Tulsi Gabbard?
Well, she was correct. I did some research and looked into it, but yeah, during her time as Attorney General and district attorney, I mean, even if you listen to the Californians that live in California, they talk about it all the time. It's like, man, she was horrible for the criminal justice system. And so one of the things she talked about was the 1,500 people that were locked up during her time as AG. Matter of fact, it was on the California Corrections Department website, which is no longer available on their website, by the way. I'm just putting it out.
Oh, wow. Well, there you go. I mean, that's...
But a department spokesman said 1,974 people were admitted to prison for marijuana and hashish charges during her time period. That's crazy. And then on top of that, besides the fact that she laughed it off, and the funny thing about all of that was when she said she smoked marijuana, she said she did it in college and she inhaled. So we know she didn't smoke marijuana because she said, and I inhaled. And second, she said that she did this while she was listening to like Tupac and Biggie, which wasn't out at the time. So I don't even know how. Unless she's a time traveler. Which I know she's not a time traveler. So she's definitely a liar. We'll put it like that. So she just did it.
So that audience, but let's kind of get some context. Where did she say those comments, and was it politically beneficial for her to say those comments on that show? Do you remember? Was it Charlemagne?
That was the Breakfast Club with Charlemagne.
Yeah, exactly.
And, so it was very beneficial for her to say it to that audience, but at the same time, it's almost it's stigmatism and stereotyping at the same time. It's like, why do you think you have to appeal to people smoking marijuana to the Black community?
In order to
mention more important things, like when I was in college, I made sure I got married. Instead, she was running around trying to deal, with Willie Brown and everything. She's sleeping her way to the top.
Oh man, yeah.
Like that, but I just hate when people do stuff like that. It's like, why are you associating cool things? Like, that is not a cool thing to say that we're breaking the law and smoking marijuana. But they talked about the cash bail, and she did. Matter of fact, she was in favor of raising the cash bail because she said that it was too cheap to commit crime in California. So people was getting out because the cash bail was so low. So she was like, the best way to prevent people and to deter people was to raise the cash bail. And we all know historically it has never done nothing but hurt the economic disenfranchised. So I don't even understand why she would even consider it. Then on top of that, the inmate labor for sure. In 2014, September, attorneys for Harris argued in a court filing that the state should not free some prisoners as part of the efforts to reduce prison crowding because it would negatively impact programs that put inmates to work fighting wildfires. So they wanted inmates because they were making like 8 cents an hour or something like that.
Oh my! And that's why she said the thing about the cheap labor there.
Yeah, I think they said inmates would make as much as $2 a day.
Wow.
Full time working wildfires and stuff, putting their life on the line. So, and then on top of that, the death row inmate, Harris's attorney general office did block DNA testing that some legal observers believe could have helped overturn the murder conviction of a death row inmate who has insisted he was framed. Then her attorneys also defended several other convictions with serious problems. In one case, her office defended a murder conviction in which the prosecutor allowed false testimony in court. So it was like clear-cut evidence that these people were innocent, and she was like, "Nah, we don't see these people on."
Yes.
And then the cases that she dismissed, she had over 1,000 cases dismissed because they had a technician that worked for her office that continued to prosecute cases based on the last work. But pretty much what the person did, that she was filing in wrong evidence at the same time as using the cocaine herself and all the drugs herself. So because of this, she had over 1,000 cases that they had attended to or oversaw, and they was overturned. So all 1,000 were overturned because of that one person. And this went on for several years before they kicked this technician out of the lab. But it's just shows that corruption from the bottom to the top. So
yes, exactly. And what I've seen, interesting argument I've seen is that some people on Twitter are saying that this is like their attempt to become more law and order. Like that, this is them trying, well, hey, we got a prosecutor on our ticket now, right? Like we don't hate the cops, we don't hate the law or whatever. And I've even seen some conservatives like say that, her criminal justice background is not something to attack, but I'm just sitting there like, really? And so for you, at least here's my opinion, then you give your thoughts, is that there is nothing that the Democrats can do, especially even just having a prosecutor as VP, but especially her. There's nothing the Democrats can do to make any voter on this planet think that they are pro law enforcement. They have consistently trashed law enforcement. They have consistently attacked them, undermined them, defunded them, done all these terrible things. And now because you get a prosecutor on your ticket, you're suddenly law and order. That's not the case. So let me know what you think about that.
I mean, I couldn't put it better, Clayton, man. They're definitely not pro law enforcement at all. Matter of fact, I find it funny that a lot of the places where we see Democratic leadership, they have already cut budgets. Matter of fact, in Seattle, they had cut a budget and already got rid of the first black female police chief because they cut her salary and cut the whole budget, and I think removed about 100 officers as well. So when you're talking about crazy things like this, it's like, man, do y'all really care about your citizens at all? Or is it all about money? It's funny that we always find ways to cut money there, but never in the budget of the city council or the government or anything like that, man. But no, if you think Democrats all of a sudden going to be pro-police, please don't think that way. If anything, they're going to continue to get rid of police or defund them to the point where they can't really do their job and do it successfully. And that's what's going to end up hurting the community more. I mean, look at Chicago right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And so with that, there's no question about that. And so on that note about her record, as you and I were also talking off air, is that I have never seen, conservative Twitter, conservative websites, everyone pounds. It's like we had all these clips of Kamala Harris ready to go as soon as Biden picked her. So the Trump campaign had this ad in the hopper. So let's talk about this ad. Let's analyze the points the points of the Trump campaign is clearly going to go after because the media is framing her as one thing when she is not. So let's play this ad real quick and then let's get into it.
Kamala Harris ran for president by rushing to the radical left, embracing Bernie's plan for socialized medicine, calling for trillions in new taxes, attacking Joe Biden for racist policies. Voters rejected Harris. They smartly spotted a phony. But not Joe Biden. He's not that smart. Biden calls himself a transition candidate. He is handing over the reins to Kamala while they jointly embrace the radical left. Slow Joe and phony Kamala. Perfect together. Wrong for America.
Oh man, they had that. They had that nickname just queued up, man. So what is your initial reaction to that ad?
I just pretty much what I thought, and I'm glad that they're harping on the fact that Joe Biden is pretty much a transitional candidate, because a lot of
Yes,
people have that same sentiment that he's just trying to get the vote, and once he get in office, he's so old, and I mean, come on, man, we know that something's wrong with him. He can't even tell a good coherent story or anything.
yes,
So yeah, pretty much they're trying to ride his back because of his history
yes,
in politics and because he was the former VP.
yep,
They feel like that's going to give them a lot of leverage, and by doing that, get him in office and then set him down and bring up Kamala Harris, who's actually, like you said, more progressive, and more left than Biden himself. So
exactly.
I don't want to see that happen. I know that's kind of like their plan, but I do not want to see that happen. That's going to be horrible for America right now.
Yes, and they're pushing her. The New York Times came out with a story saying that Kamala Harris, a pragmatic centrist, they are trying to position her as a centrist, as someone in the middle, when that could not be farther from the truth. But the readers of the New York Times are going to believe it, because why? It's the New York Times, and this is just our favorite publication or whatever. So Ben Shapiro had actually a very interesting aspect on this. He said this: Vice President picks normally don't matter. 6 in 10 Americans think Biden doesn't finish his first term, including a majority of independents. Trump should make this race about Trump versus Harris. He should simply ignore Biden's existence, which I don't agree with. But then he says, and most people have done for Biden's career. And then he says, and Harris is indeed a disaster. Trojan horse Harris is manipulative, mechanical, and extreme. There is a reason she dropped out before having to hear a referendum on her from her own constituents in California. So the first tweet is the one I want to focus on the most here, because Ben Shapiro, it felt like he just rushed through this point, but the fact that 60% of Americans believe that Joe Biden isn't even going to finish his first term, First of all, he even said, I'm already going to be a one-term president.
Yeah.
But they are thinking that he's not going to even finish it. So voters are now going to look at the VP and say, wait a minute, she would be this close to becoming the president of the United States of America. And so what is your analysis on this? Because the very fact that most people in America don't think Joe Biden's even going to make it 4 years. I mean, what do you think Trump should do in terms of hammering Kamala Harris on her record in her past?
I always tell people the debate between the VP is going to be interesting. But at the same time, I think that he should harp on it. I don't think we should let up. And one thing I hate is people on the left, like Charlemagne The God, has already came out and kind of postered people and said, hey, listen, or prepped them at least and said, look, they're going to attack her hard because she's black. No, they're going to attack her hard because of her horrible record, because of her history. But they have already came out and said the only reason they're going to attack her is because she's a black woman, and we need to ignore it because she's a black woman and stand up for she's a black woman.
See, that they use that as a shield. It's just like with Black Lives Matter, as you and I have discussed before. Black Lives Matter very strategically named the name of their organization Black Lives Matter so broadly that even if you disagree with their methods, you disagree with their founders, you disagree with how they are anti-police, if they ask you, and I get this on TikTok, I get this on these live streams, people just randomly ask, do you support Black Lives Matter? That very question is a trap in and of itself, because the name Black Lives Matter is so broad, but they like to say that their focus is narrow, but then they weaponize the name Black Lives Matter against conservatives in a broad fashion, so you can't win. So now it actually makes me a little sick what you just said, is that now we can't criticize her because people are going to say, hey, they're just going after her because she's a black woman. This is what has to happen. And that's going to be their shield and their excuse to defend her no matter what her criminal record was, even though Sean King here is openly saying, hey, 2 years ago, I'll never support these people. Right. It's absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, that's the play, and that's why I tell people all the time. That's why 2016 when she ran for Senate and she won, she was like, "Oh, Indian American." They never mentioned black, but then all of a sudden, she's running for VP, is all black woman.
Yep.
Like, wait a minute,
yes.
Why did the emphasis change? And we know why it's changed. And matter of fact, they could put up black Indian, or they could put an African, but you're not even African. I don't know what Jamaican Indian. I don't know how to.
I think Jamaican. Yeah.
But yeah, so it's like they could put it up there, but they're not highlighting that. And once again, they're using that to just, like I said, sway voters. It is a shield. Democrats do this strategically, and I tell people effortlessly. And they always do it. And not only that, but she also is a woman, right? So you got the other card now. So it's like, oh, they're gonna attack her because she's a woman. Why are you so hard on her and this and that? Or they're gonna be like, well, America's just not ready for a woman president or a VP. It's like, America has been ready for anyone if they're good for America.
Exactly.
So they're going to use all of this to their advantage, and they know that's why they did this strategically. But I'm telling people, and I've been begging all my people that follow me, my followers, supporters, even the black community, like, listen, you know what they're about to do. It's written in the sky. There's no hiding it. So can we at least understand this is what they're going to do to at least get the black vote? And even though they haven't introduced any new policies or nothing that's really going to help the black community.
Yes.
But let's just understand that we probably need to go red this time for sure. Like, let's not forget what Trump has done. They have pretty much plagued the media with the pandemic, even though majority of it couldn't possibly be under Trump's control. But that's what they're going to continue to put that on a news cycle instead of talking about all the things that was going good before the pandemic. And they're going to kind of try to keep it going until after the election. So
absolutely.
Yeah, just remember, folks, if you're out there, remember in November, what was life like before this pandemic, or I call it a pandemic, happened?
It makes me kind of depressed. I'm not going to lie, man. Like, I was looking forward to 2020. This is the last time that Donald J. Trump is ever going to be able to run for president, man. Because after he won in 2016, we're like, 2020, I can't wait. Now we're not even able to have our iconic Trump rallies. We're not able to have, for everyone who doesn't remember, man, leading up to the election, President Trump, being a 70-year-old man in those days, did like 10 different campaign stops in 10 different states in one day before the election. And he was doing that daily, heading up. Man, I'm 32, or I'm 31. I couldn't do that. I could not do that. I could not get on a plane and go to 10 different states, give a fiery speech, and just go ham. And, and then, like, how did he do it? I will never know. But this man's energy is still there. And it's sad that, we're not going to be able to enjoy that this time around. However, we are out registering voters in Pennsylvania on a 5-to-1 basis.
Okay.
So I think Pennsylvania is looking good, and everybody, don't tell Democrats that we're out signing people up. Just keep it on the down low. And then also, the Trump campaign, according to a left-wing source, is knocking on 1 million doors a week. The Biden campaign is knocking on 0 doors a week.
Right.
So this ground game is going to help in a big way. And what you were saying, it's about the election this year. Remember what it was like before the election. Like, things were before the coronavirus, things were much different, and we got to always remember that,
So I told people that's what we need to focus on as conservatives, as we need to focus on the actual change and things Trump brought as far as the economy and everything, like real jobs instead of temp jobs that Obama brought. Just all the things that we can continue to show why Trump was a great president. Let's continue to talk about his effort against human trafficking. Let's continue to talk about his effort against education. Let's continue to talk about everything else, his effort to help the veteran community. We got to continue to nail these points, because that's all the Democrats going to try to do is only talk about the pandemic and like what kind of horrible job he's been doing. He's not listening to his experts, even though he has been listening to the experts the entire time. They still gonna say he hasn't. I saw your video about Dr. Fauci.
That's man. That's what people know me for, man. They're like, no, he's got receipts, man. Clayton's got receipts. So I'm gonna keep that up. We're gonna make another video about Fauci and how Trump listened to the experts. The audio towards the end of that YouTube video started to get a little bit choppy, so I'm gonna redo a studio version, and we're gonna get that thing everywhere because a lot of people still blame Trump for everything when that is not the truth. Yesterday, I debunked a video of people saying he cut funding to the CDC. No, he didn't. Now, here's the only truth is that he has proposed cuts, but at the end of the day, when his ink had to touch paper, he signed increases. It's a negotiation tactic. Throws it out there. He didn't get the cuts he wanted. He's like, okay, if he would have harped on it and said, I am not signing this budget until you guys take out funding for the CDC, then we could have a problem here. But he signed increases to the CDC. So this is a lie that keeps getting pushed that we have to keep debunking. Every single person on here has to keep debunking it. And so, yeah, that's awesome. I'm glad you're doing an amazing job there. And speaking of debunking, today, Kamala Harris and Joe Biden did their first joint campaign event. Hey, everybody, newsflash, it's okay to be in a crowd again. Because exactly.
First of all,
Harris and Joe Biden, it's okay to be in a crowd. Tell me your thoughts.
When I saw that, I was like, wait, campaign, rally, like, wait a minute. Then
Topher, you got to understand, man, as the New York Times said, this is the first African-American woman on the ticket, okay? So it's just like Bill de Blasio said, hey, we're living through a historic time right now. I don't want you going to fairs, school, concerts, malls, anything. I don't want you to open your businesses. But if you're going to march for Black Lives Matter, hey, we're living through a historic time. So, Topher, you got to understand, man, this is history. So apparently history, that changes everything. So as I said, apparently going into crowds is good to Democrats again because Joe Biden and Kamala Harris did a joint campaign thing, and they are pushing a lie that we've got to talk about here on this live stream, everybody, is that it's this repeated lie that President Trump said that neo-Nazis are fine people. That's not what it is. I'm going to pull up the transcript for everybody one more time. Okay? All right. So this is fitting perfectly here between our heads here. So this was the big controversial news conference that happened in August. What was it? 3 years ago? Wow, it feels like forever. I mean, 3 years ago is, I guess, forever ago. But Trump said this in the press conference, and this first paragraph is the paragraph that got him in trouble, but the media conveniently cut out the other red box towards the bottom. So let's read through this. Trump, excuse me, they didn't put themselves down as neo-Nazis, and you had some very bad people in that group. Thank you. There he said it. But you also had people that were very fine people on both sides. You had people in that group, excuse me, I saw the same pictures as you did. You had people in that group that were there to protest the taking down of the statue and renaming the Robert E. Lee. And the reporter says, George Washington and Robert E. Lee are not the same. Trump goes on about how George Washington owned slaves. And then he talks about, then I'm going to go, so he just kind of does the Trump thing. He does what Trump does, where he asks the question repeatedly. Then he says this in the red box. I'm not talking about the neo-Nazis and white nationalists because they should be condemned totally. But you had many people in that group other than neo-Nazis and white nationalists, okay? And the press has treated them absolutely unfairly. Now, in the other group, you had some fine people, but you also had troublemakers. You see them come in with the black outfits and the helmets and with the baseball bats. There is nothing about this statement that is false. What is your reaction to this and the fact that they're pushing this lie again 3 years later because they know they can get away with it?
Well, this is just a long list of reasons why people say Trump is racist or at least sympathetic or empathetic towards the white nationalists and neo-Nazis. Yep. Yes. Once again, media takes what he says out of context. The same time when they took out of context when he did the whole gesture, which he always does when he's mimicking someone. Yes. But they took that out of context, and they have to take his stuff out of context. Otherwise, they have nothing else to go against him with, right?
Yes.
I said, man, you got to think about this. If all you got to go against him is stuff that you take out of context, that tells me that this man is probably doing a fantastic job. Therefore, you can't literally criticize what he's doing. You have to go find something else to nitpick and criticize. But yes. Just to this point right here, there was 3 groups of people. And when he said 5 people on both sides, he was talking about the 2 groups that one was against and one was for the statue. The neo-Nazis were the one he condemned in the beginning. Yep. So that's why he said it was 2 people, 5 people on both sides.
Yes.
which they were. Like, you're not a bad person because you wanted the statue to stay up, and you're not, ain't nothing wrong with you wanting to be taken down. But the neo-Nazis and white nationalists, he literally condemned. He has continuously condemned them since he's been in office. Matter of fact, when they tried to endorse him a while back when he first ran, he rejected their endorsement. He's like, I don't want you guys affiliated with me. Matter of fact, back when he found out that David Duke was trying to become part of the party he was running when he first thought about running for president back in 1997, I believe, with Oprah, and he found out he was part of the same party, he left that party. It's like, I don't want to be associated with the racists. And I don't know, man. It's sad that we have to continue to fact check this, but it's false information, like they say, is it leads to the door. Well, travel around the world before the truth leaves the doorstep.
Yep.
And this is what
it's hard because it's like they can take these comments and like, look, he said it. But this second paragraph, the one that's in the red below, why is that clip never played? I wonder. Just like, I made a super viral video on TikTok, and believe it or not, I'm going to be doing that same video in Spanish here in a couple days. You guys will see that coming out. But it's a video where they say he called all immigrants animals. No, he didn't. They took a clip of him saying, we have people coming across we're getting rid of people who are not people, they're animals. You think he's talking about all immigrants? Really? Well, if you were to play the clip in its full context, the question that was asked right before that was, I have an MS-13 gang member that I know I can arrest, but if he doesn't meet certain qualifications, I can't touch him. And then Trump said the thing about the animals. He's talking about this violent gang that kills people, that beheads people, that cuts off limbs, that does terrible things, kidnaps children, all these things. He was calling them animals. And those kind of gang members absolutely are. Like, there's no disputing that. But no, Beto O'Rourke went out there, campaigned on it. Campaign commercials use that. And so we have to keep talking about this because sadly, I mean, these lies, when something is repeated so much, and you know what, Topher, let me know what you think about this, because this is something that I have observed as well.
Okay.
The left is very good at saying a false statement, but saying it with so much conviction and confidence that it makes you question your belief. It's almost like, well, damn, you're serious. Like, you just said that like it was nothing. So it makes the person who doesn't know any better, it makes them actually believe that. So what is have you seen that as well? Like, they'll just say a false statement and then just act as if it's true, even though there's no truth in it.
Yeah, I've seen it multiple times, and I always tell people they do this, and I've seen people be red pilled because of this. I was talking to one guy, I think it was I forget his name, but we were having a conversation, and he said reason why he became a Trump supporter is because when 2016 rolled around and people kept talking about how racist he wasn't really big into politics, so he just took them at their word. It's like, y'all coming around saying these things confident and all that stuff, so I was like, okay, cool, Trump's a racist. Then he said 3 years later, he realized they kept saying the same thing over and over. Matter of fact, he said they never mentioned anything good he did. He said, okay, a sensible person would say that no one's just completely 100% bad. Like, if you're always saying something bad about someone, at that point you hate them. And because of that, he started to do his own research, and that's when he realized statements like this were taken out of context, or videos were cut short, or people were just manipulating the news and media to make him look like a bad person. So our job is, unfortunately, is to police these things and put the truth out there. No matter how often we think people see stuff, we have to continue to push it out there. And this is why we continuously see McDonald's commercials. Even though everyone knows McDonald's sells burgers.
Yes.
They still put out commercials because that's marketing 101. And this is what the Democrats do. They're going to keep pushing these things because it's marketing 101. And as long as they keep going out, people are going to keep believing it. So,
man, I'll tell you what, man, piggybacking off of that. So I've had a few videos on TikTok go viral about Joe Biden and him not being able to, talk. I had two people reach out to me. Okay. Now, everybody who's watching this, if you're watching this live stream on a Wednesday night at 8:40 Eastern, 5:40 Pacific, then you are a political junkie. You love politics, okay? It's hard for us to step outside of that world because we love politics so much. I had two people, my mom and then an old work friend of mine, tell me that they don't follow politics every day like we do. They go, Clay, are those clips of Joe Biden old clips? I'm like, no, it was this week. And they're like, really? So everybody has to remember that when we're talking about influencing votes in the 2020 election, it's not people who've already made their minds up or who are political junkies like we are.
Right.
We're talking about the people in the middle or who they think they know something, but they really don't. And so people who are not paying attention to politics, they're not sitting here on a summer night in August talking about politics like we are. They're doing whatever else with life, you know? I mean, this is also part of our, you know, what we do for work and what we do for a passion or whatever. But at the same time, like, people who are not in this every day, they don't know. So imagine how influential it is when the local news stations are saying, and today President Trump called immigrants animals, and we're going to move on to the next topic. And President Trump says neo-Nazis are fine people, you know? And so have you come across a lot of people who before, like, they didn't pay much attention, but once they started paying attention, they're like, holy crap, there's so much I didn't know.
So many people, young people, old people. And a lot of times they tell me they've been watching my content. And yeah, they just be like, man, I've been watching your content for a while now, and it made me really question things and see things from a different perspective. Like you said, because they're so used to just getting information from the news media, which we already know is biased and mostly left. But yeah, there was like, I just always thought this until, you know, I got introduced to some alternative information. I told people this was one of the reasons why I started my account on TikTok, or started talking politically, is because I wanted to offer that alternative perspective, because we don't get that much. And specifically for the Black community, we don't have too many, I would call, conservative Black men going around talking in schools or leading anything. You know, most of the times if we consider someone conservative, they're a preacher. Right. We don't just see an average person that's like me that wear hoodies, play games and whatever, be a conservative or be cool or do music. Right. We have a stereotype about them. So we never actually got to hear from them going through school. So that was kind of like my mission when I got on TikTok, is to spread that alternative view. And I'm glad a lot of people have, you know, came on board like you and others and helped with that, because there's so much information. I tell people all the time, if I could spend more time actually talking about the things Trump is doing positive for America, y'all wouldn't want to think about anybody else. But I have to spend so much time debunking all the false stuff.
Exactly.
I don't have time to do the stuff that's good. It's like, it's like all I get is Trump racist. Did Trump really say this? Versus, man, what has Trump really done for us? It's like, yeah, well, here's this and here's that. Or when I do say that, they always try to downplay the positive. I'm like, when is there a certain amount of positive that make it good enough? I'm like, any positive to me is good. As long as we're not going backwards, I don't care. If it helped us 10%, it's 10% in the right direction. So as long as the person will continue to give us 10% or more, I'm fine with it. But I'm not going for the person that's going to put it back, you know, 10 steps back. That's not what I'm voting for.
Absolutely. Yeah. Okay, cool, man. That's perfectly said. So I'm going to show an image here in just a second. But before I do, if anybody has any questions for either of us, please please put it in the chat. I'm going to start looking at those comments. So if anyone does have any questions, I'm going to show a. Oh, some of these are great. I'm going to start, just open up the comments and whoa, I got a, all right. So so if anybody has any questions, I'm going to show a video here. So as you guys know, at trendingpolitics.com, we syndicate a lot of content. And one of the great pieces of content that we have the permission to syndicate is from AF Branco, who is a cartoonist. And he came out with this number this morning here. Be my VP or you ain't black. And Kamala accepted. So that is the state of the United States of America, everyone. We've got Joe Biden, who says you ain't black if you don't vote for him. And so AF Branco took that and basically turned it into, if you're not my VP, you ain't black, which, hey, that conversation may have actually happened. You never know. Let's see. Anybody have any questions here? If not, we're going to get going. But appreciate everyone here commenting. We've had people from all over here. Appreciate every single one of you guys. So I'm gonna give about another minute. If you guys have any questions for us, feel free to do so. So Topher, In the meantime, while we're waiting for a couple more questions to roll in, you also do, if everyone wants to go follow him on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Twitch, what kind of other, I know you also do music as well. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so Topher is actually my moniker as my stage name as I rap. It comes from my full name, Christopher. So a lot of people don't know that. It's like, what is Topher?
Okay.
Like,
Yeah,
so Christopher Topher.
Okay,
I went
cool.
by Chris, and too many Chris's out there, so I decided to make it a little bit more unique. But I do hip hop is clean. So if you want to listen to some clean hip hop, my latest song is called Cruise. It's about Terry Crews, and I don't know if you heard about when he was coming out recently against BLM and what they stand for and all that. And he kind of just stood there and said, no matter how often y'all attack me, because he got a lot of attacks from like popular Hollywood actors and actresses and
They came
influencers.
for him hard.
And but he stood his ground, and he has not backed down since then. So I made a song called Terry Crews Cruise.
Yeah.
So I got
I've
attacked
heard that.
because of my views. So if you want to check the song out, you can check it out. It's just Cruise by Topher, but it's on my YouTube. But yeah, I've been doing music since I was 10. My first recording was when I was 15, and yeah, just ever since, man, been trying to grind it out. It's something I truly love, and the fact that I can kind of combine my passion with like my purpose allows me to do some unique stuff. I think this is how we change culture. I always tell people we got to get back to influencing culture in a positive way. And one of the biggest things that come to my mind is music. Music is that universal language that's going to be it's going to reach far and wide than anything else we can do in this world. So shout out to Bryson Gray. Matter of fact, his album MAGA Season, I was featured on there.
Oh yes.
Actually,
cool.
It actually peaked at number 2 on iTunes for hip hop album charts, and it peaked at number 5 for overall albums.
What?
Yes. So
No way. Wait, say the name again.
MAGA Season, MAGA
Okay.
SZN.
Okay.
But by Bryson Gray, my song we got a song called "Make Families Great Again." So, but like I said, that album it peaked at number 2 on all hip hop album, all hip hop charts, and peaked at number 5 for albums overall. So, yeah, we did a really good job. And that was
I know that triggered people.
Any major promotion or nothing. It is the most pro-Trump, pro-gun, pro-marriage, pro-God album out right now.
Man, I'm sure that made a lot of people mad. Oh my God.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll definitely look that up. We'll also link to it. So I had a lot of come in here. We're not be able to get through all of these. Let me put one up here.
Okay.
Christina here says, do you think Pence will do well against Kamala Harris in the debate? How do you think Trump will fare against Kamala Harris, Topher?
Well, they said Pence. But I think Pence.
Pence against Harris. Yeah, I think yeah.
Well, when I was at the rally in Tulsa, I don't know if everybody knew about that, but I was up there and I heard Pence speak because we really don't hear him speak, right? To be honest. Yeah. But I actually went to a rally and got to hear him speak, and I was like, man, this dude is awesome. He's eloquent. He's on point. He's sharp and pragmatic about his speech. So, yeah, I have high confidence that he will hold his ground against Kamala because one thing that she got that he don't have is a bad history,
Yes.
So there's really nothing she can poke holes in. I know they're going to try to bring up, once again, a false narrative that Pence was trying to get electric shock therapy or conversion therapy, which has been proven false, not only by fact check, but by Snopes, who's already left-leaning.
Exactly.
That he never said these things and never promoted for it. So it's like, what else do they have against Pence? That he's just because he's a Christian, he's a cisgender male. It's like
their biggest claim against him is that, when that report came out a couple years ago, that he will not meet with another woman who is not his wife in private. If there's ever a meeting with another woman, either the door is always open or no matter what, a third party has to be present. And they criticize him for that. It's like, wait a minute, you got Bill Clinton going on your stage next week, but you're going to criticize this poor man for being faithful to his wife? Man, what does our world come to, man? Come on. Yeah, well, I think it's going to also be really interesting. I think it's going to be really interesting because, as we've said, I will say this. In the heat of the coronavirus, Mike Pence was giving a lot of speeches from the White House press conference, and even liberal celebrities were coming out and saying, look, guys, I'm no conservative, but Mike Pence is good at this. Mike Pence is good at, now, He's not as fun as Trump, okay? He's not as fun. He's not going to trash people. He's not going to call people phony Kamala. He's not going to call him Sleepy Joe. But he's very good at being a statesman and saying the right things at the right time. Now, he doesn't even give in to the media, which is a good thing. So I think that people are going to see that and say, okay, hold on. Joe Biden's not going to even finish his first term as president if he were to win. I don't think he's going to win. But so who would I rather have? Mike Pence, a distinguished man who knows his stuff, or Kamala Harris, which God only knows what she's been involved in? I think that's going to be a key point of it as well.
I also think I always take wishy-washy political stances into suggestions as well, because 2018, as late as 2018, she had different stuff she pushed for, but she started to change and she started to run as a presidential candidate, which I really don't like when people do that, because at that time I feel like you're not being genuine about who you are. We can't say the same. I feel like Pence has always just been Pence, It's just always been Pence.
And that's why Trump had to pick him. Like, Trump kind of had to pick somebody who was a little bit opposite of him, because if he would have picked someone like Chris Christie, it would have been two fireballs going at it, But no, like, we needed something to complement, like yin and yang here with Mike Pence, the quiet, calm, distinguished man. And then Trump, man, Trump is just the best, man. I mean, we're going to look back on this. I was talking with someone earlier today, and it's like, man, the fact that not only are we alive during this time, but that we are voices, and that everyone commenting here, you guys are all part of this conversation too. Like, understand that in 30 years from now, we're going to be looking back on this and say, man, I lived through President Trump and he was amazing. He was awesome.
Hey, what do you think about his speech when they said, why are you having people in here? It's a rally. It's a peaceful protest. It's a peaceful protest.
I mean, and he said it with a little bit of a smirk, like here's something that people don't understand about Trump. Okay? What people don't understand about Trump is that this guy will say things that he knows are outrageous and that he knows are crazy. But he does it because he knows the media is going to fall for it, hook, line, and sinker. And guess what? They fall for it every single time. Last year, he goes out there. I wish I had the video. He goes, he says, I'm so young. I can't believe it. He's like, I am a young, vibrant man. Joe, I don't know about him. I don't know. Man, Trump is 74 years old, and he's out there saying, I can't believe how young I am. Now, I will say he has he's a vibrant man. I mean, he is not low energy at all, but I mean, sometimes, man, he likes to say that. So another one, just random, and then we got to get going here, guys. But are you on Spotify at all, Topher? Where can people find your music?
Yeah, so just look up Topher on Spotify.
Spotify, so you are on Spotify. Okay, cool. Sounds good.
Topher on Spotify and Apple Music, and you should go straight to my stuff. If you really need to be specific, just look up Topher Cruz. So,
okay.
Yeah.
All right, sounds good, man. Well, awesome. Topher, man, really great talking to you again, as always, man. We're always chatting. We always see each other on TikTok, man. Let's keep it up here. Everybody, go follow TopherTownMusic on all the same names here. Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Twitch, everywhere. Go listen to his music. He also did a diss track against Snoop Dogg when he said some pretty racially insensitive things about Black Trump supporters. Actually, before we go, let's talk about real quick about your prediction. Now, you said this a few weeks ago or a couple months ago when we chatted first. Your prediction for the black vote in 2020 is what for Trump?
I said 20 to 25%. A lot of people like, Candace Owens and others are saying upwards of 35 to 40%, which, I cool if it is. But my prediction is 20 to 25%. Reason being, I don't know if you've been paying attention, but TikTok has revealed a lot of Black conservatives and a lot of Black Trump supporters.
Yes, yes.
They have come out, and a lot of people are voting. So one thing I'm probably going to see is people that had never voted before. And on top of that, we have people that were Democrat becoming red pills. So that's definitely going to pull more of the vote to the right this time. And not because Trump has anything like, oh, he has a Black candidate or he has a female running with him or nothing like that. It's simply because Trump is doing great things for America and for the Black community. So people can see that and look at that and be like, a lot of times you have to look at stuff like, what can I look at and actually see what has Trump done? I can actually go out there and look and be like, look, because of Trump, this is that. People can look at their 401ks and be like, yep, because of Trump. People can look at education or something over here and be like, yep, because of Trump. So
Yes.
I feel like that's what's really driving people is just the proof.
Yes, exactly. And so, Trump, sadly, he only won, what was it, 7% of the black vote in 2016. Now, here's the thing. I would love, God, I would love for it to be 25%. Now, this is just my opinion. I think that might be a little high because of just a stranglehold. Now, again, if they say 30 to 35%, man, I hope we're only half wrong, right? I hope we're only half wrong because here's the thing, man. It doesn't even, all it would take is you being half right. 15%, the Democrat Party is done. Who else knows why they need the stranglehold on the black vote is because they cannot win without a vast majority of the black vote. And I'm talking 95%, right? And now, you're not going to have as many people voting for Biden, and you're going to have more people voting for Trump. It's going to be a huge swing. So in my opinion, even if it's only 12% of the black vote, the Democrats are done. And Trump's already going to get more of the Latino vote too. So, yeah. Things are happening that Democrats guys, there's an ad running in Spanish right now. It's a great ad against Joe Biden saying, hey, did you guys notice that he committed to it being a black woman months ago? Why are we not good enough? Why are we not good enough for Joe Biden? He wanted the black vote and not the Hispanic vote. How do you think the Hispanic community is going to respond to that? So I love it. I think it absolutely could happen. I think 20% could happen. For me, I'm just trying to not get my hopes up too high. So that's why I'm trying to aim low and hopefully it's higher. But I think it could absolutely happen because just like you, man, I've seen a lot of people get red pilled. And here's one more thing and we're about to go here. But Topher, I bet you get this a lot, okay? Is that you get people, first of all, it's already controversial to come out as a Trump supporter, okay? Yep. But as an African American, as a black man, how much more controversial because you're going to have much of your community come out, and the ironic thing is they're always the ones calling Trump racist, but many times it's the liberals who are people of color who come out and are the most racist against people of color who come out for Trump. And so I would imagine and elaborate on this just for a couple minutes, how much more of a silent vote that is for Trump of people who are black that can't say what they is because they will be disowned by their community.
Yeah, that's why we still claim the word at least the word title silent majority is because that exact reason. Many people have businesses or that's predominantly or their customers are mostly liberal or something like that. And because of council culture, if they came out and said anything, by golly, they'd probably lose a bunch of money and lose their livelihood. So yep. I tell people all the time, if you're one of those people and you feel like you can't come out, look, you don't have to exercise that right. You don't have to come out and say anything. All that matters is when you go into that booth on November, remember. that's all I got to say. When you go into that booth.
Yep. It depends on where you live, but when you close that curtain, when you walk into that booth, it's just you, it's your pencil, and you mark that name, and nobody has to know. You can even lie about it. Hey, man, if you can even lie, if your family says, oh, hey, yeah, you vote for Biden? Yeah, sure, voted for Biden, of course, man, I voted for Biden, You don't have to tell the truth, and then on election night, when President Trump's name is plastered across CNN, as re-elect of the United States, you can just slowly just fist pump it right there and you're good to go. That's all you need, right?
That's it. I tell people all the time, all this means nothing if we don't go vote in November.
Yes.
It means nothing. So forget all the hate, forget all the stuff, and just like I said, in November, remember.
Exactly. All right, man. Hey, great chat, brother. Everybody here, we still have almost 1,000 people live between all of our different, all the different platforms here. You guys are amazing. Every single one of you guys, go follow Topher on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, all the same name, TopherTownMusic. And everybody, you have a great rest of your night. Topher, man, great chatting with you. You guys all have a really good one. Okay, I'll be talking to you guys. Anyone tomorrow, say at 12 p.m. Pacific. I always do my live podcast, so join me there, everybody. Talk to you guys soon. Have a good night.
Have a good one.